DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
All right, everybody, welcome into Bills Weekly here on FingerLakes1.com. Paul Russo here, Jim Sinicropi, Kyle Evans. Welcome to the first official game week of the 2025 NFL season. Week 1 is here. Bills play Sunday night. We'll get to all that, including a season preview overall for the Bills here in just a moment. But guys, we made it officially out of the unofficial end of summer this past weekend, and football season is officially here. Can't beat it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited. At first, I didn't really want summer to end around like mid-August. I was like, slow down a little bit. But now that we're here, I'm definitely ready to go. And I love the fact that the Bills are playing on Sunday night. I know a lot of people don't want to wait even longer, but I like that I can just watch the whole rest of NFL Sunday and have a big game at night.
Yep.
I would have even preferred even a Monday night game, but of course that's not a popular take either, because then you can watch every game or every team play.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you look at this week's schedule, there is one game that stands out, and that's the rematch of, last year's divisional round of the playoffs, where the Bills beat the Ravens despite being outgained. The Bills gained less than 300 yards that game. The Ravens had over 400 yards, and the Bills somehow won thanks to some turnovers. And so the last time the Ravens played, it was losing to the Bills. And so their next game is Sunday night. It's going to be against the Bills, and I guarantee that, they've had that marked on their calendar for many months here, and it's the game of the week for sure, and it's the game of the year so far. And it's the first, you remember last year, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen battling out for MVP. Well, that's going to be the same narrative this year too. And whoever wins this game is going to stake a claim, the early claim is the front runner. There's a lot for week 1, and it's cool that it's on Sunday night.
Yeah. Everybody waits for Sunday night, as we have been apparently told. So look forward to that. First, though, before we get any further, thank a couple more of our sponsors, including Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant. I'd say pretty perfect for maybe Sunday night or all day Sunday if your team has not happened to be the Bills. And if you're listening, hey, we still like you for tuning in anyway. But you can visit Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant, their original Waterloo location or all new renovated location in Geneva. Dine-in, takeout, delivery, catering, and banquets. Order online, Cicinos.com. Live, laugh, and eat well. It's the Italian way. And GoNet Speed, the future of connection, is here, and it's fiber. Made for how we live and work today, GoNet Speed fiber is faster and stronger than anything out there. You can check availability in your area as well as plans and pricing at GoNetSpeed.com and get ready for fast and reliable fiber internet straight to your home. So that way you can also watch the Bills by chance if you're on the streaming side of things. So,
Yep.
All right, guys, the Bills 2025 season. Let's begin there. Expectation, I think Kyle and Jim, you kind of alluded to it, would be a bit beyond that final win against Baltimore this year and at minimum make the Super Bowl. We're well within what I would call the window for Josh Allen and the rest of this team. Obviously, it's viewed through the prism of Josh Allen at this point, but nonetheless, it's going to be an interesting year. We have that for the fans. I don't view it more so for the players. I view it more so for the fans. Final year at the original Highmark Stadium this year as well. It's just one of those things where it kind of feels like you have a season of storylines almost in a way happening here across different fronts. And a culmination point, I think, for a lot of people would be that Super Bowl appearance at minimum come the second weekend of February.
Yeah, I think you could have even said that last year. I think moving forward, it's Super Bowl or bust. And like I've said previously, I think it's going to be heartbreaking if they were to lose in a Super Bowl, but to just get there and finally be back there for the first time since the early 90s, I think fans would still be somewhat satisfied. But yeah, before Allen's career ends, they have to get a Super Bowl.
They got to win a Super Bowl, but maybe if you can get there and you lose, then everybody can be like, well, that's a step forward.
Yep.
It's at the point now, though, that if they don't get there, it becomes harder to get there next year because the pressure continues to build with each. It's tough to say, call it a failure when you have a team as good as the Bills have been. But I think you could ask Josh Allen or almost any Bills fan, and they would consider anything less than a Super Bowl appearance a failure. And so yeah, this seems like the year. It's important. If they don't do it, it's going to be harder next year, and the pressure is going to mount. And then before too long, the narrative will be, well, Josh Allen's on the decline, and the Bills won't be mentioned as a favorite.
Yeah. And I think the number one thing that has to happen this year is they finally have to be the AFC's number one seed. They need to host those two playoff games because they went undefeated there last year, and they've been, I think, like 22-5 their last like 4 seasons.
That's the key to getting to a Super Bowl. Be the best team in your conference, and get the number one seed. It's no mystery if you look back at Super Bowls past that the number one seed is overwhelmingly the team that makes it, to the Super Bowl because they have the home field and because they had proven throughout the season that they're the best team. So for that to happen for the Bills, I mean, I remember a couple years ago the Bills, I think it was 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons ago now, where the Bills also had these high expectations and had tons of injuries. To me, number one thing going through the season is let's somehow, through the grace of God, not have any major injuries, or minimize injuries. Injuries are a part of football, but the Bills got to stay somewhat healthy, on both sides of the ball, but especially defense, which it seems like they're always getting just ravaged by injuries on defense. And then we talk about this from the Bills narrative. You think Ravens fans are going Super Bowl or bust too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Kansas City fans, they just expect that.
And they've got to be in a worse spot because Lamar hasn't performed well in the playoffs.
Right.
Where Josh even has more playoff wins and has been closer. Where even Lamar's lost twice to Josh Allen in the playoffs.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was on here I brought it up, or it might have been one of the other podcasts we have here. I saw a graphic over the summer of current quarterbacks with playoff wins, and it's like Mahomes is at the top with like 17 or something like that. Josh Allen's in third. He's the highest without a Super Bowl with 11. And then down at the bottom is Lamar with 3. And, it kind of, you talk about narratives and stuff like this. It's, this year I kind of view the Ravens really frankly, if we're looking whatever, I view the Ravens as really that truly bust team scenario in a way where it's whatever. But, this isn't Ravens Weekly, so not to get too much.
Yeah, but it's an interesting, for this matchup in Week 1 to have these two teams that have both been second fiddle to the Chiefs for the past several seasons, and have both have MVP candidates at quarterback, and have both had great regular seasons. The narrative is the same, and if you want to be that number one seed, like Kyle mentioned, to have that inside track, this is as big as a Week 1 game can get.
Yeah, you hear a lot of people say, well, it's only Week 1, they still have plenty more football to go, but you're right. If they fall to 0-1 early on, I mean, they still have a couple tough opponents coming up. You don't want to get to 5 losses, towards the end of the year and then, be out of it, because the Chiefs are going to roll. They always do, even when they're not good.
Right.
They still win. So yeah, I think it's important to start off 1-0. But I guess, too, if they do lose, it's not the end of the world because they got blown out in Baltimore in Week 4 last year.
Yeah.
And then what happened in the playoffs? The Bills beat them. So
Yep.
It isn't the end of the world for your season, but if you want the number one seed, it's a big game.
Yeah, and we just mentioned those 3 teams. I mean, there's other teams that are up and coming in the AFC, like the Denver Broncos, Cincinnati might be healthy enough this year to get back to their former glory when they were just a game away from the Super Bowl. And there's a lot of other teams. I'm not going to go through the whole league, but it's a tough league at the top. The AFC is. NFC maybe a little less so than the AFC, but the top of the AFC is tough. You could make a case for probably 5 teams. But I think most of the American sports public has the Bills as like the number one betting
That's all I see.
favorite. Yep. So,
Once in a while, I'll see Ravens in there.
mm-hmm.
But believe it or not, I haven't seen a lot of Chiefs Super Bowl picks. I've seen Bill. This is the Bills year. This is the Bill. Even like national people.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
I think that it's because the Chiefs got crushed in the Super Bowl, so that was kind of like, well, that's the end of that dynasty, right?
Well, and you talk about getting out of like the gate good here and stuff like that for teams. The Chiefs will be minus guys the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season, depending upon whether it's injury or suspension. And I think you finally saw last year, albeit they made the Super Bowl, you finally did see some cracks in the foundation a little bit for the Chiefs and stuff like that. But not to give Bills fans PTSD here or anything like that, but I remember saying that about the Patriots in roughly about 2014, and they still had another 4+ years of making nightmares for everybody across the league. So you never know at the end of the day. So
Nope, that's why they play the games, and we're about to play a lot of games over the next, how many months? 5 months? 6
exactly.
months?
Good transition there. Let's throw up the whole Bills schedule here quickly and take a look at that. Yeah, you mentioned come out of the gate good, right, Kyle? First 6 weeks, to me, kind of leave a lot on the table in terms of going out and getting wins before you hit the bye week at week 7 and the final run to the postseason at that point.
Yeah, so 4 of their first 6 games are at home, so I think that's big. And in general, I think a lot of their mostly tough opponents are at home, where, again, they went undefeated last year. They've been very good there in the last several years. And then, how about this? 4 primetime games in the first 6 weeks, and they only have 5 throughout the whole year. So they're getting those out of the way early on, too. But you look, after they play the Ravens, 3 of the next 4 opponents are against the division. And aside from the Patriots being better, I think they should destroy the Jets and Dolphins. Those should not be losses, even though they do struggle on the road when they play the Jets.
They should win. Of course they should.
have to be wins.
They should. But they
The
don't
Saints,
always.
Spencer Rattler at home?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be
They
a win,
own
too.
Miami, and they get them at home. I mean, the first 6 weeks, their first 7 games, because the week 7's a bye week, are against teams that didn't make the playoffs last year. Or did Atlanta make the playoffs last year?
No, they had that choke there at the end of the year.
Yeah, so they got Baltimore week 1, and then they play 6 teams that didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you want to get to the Super Bowl and you want to kind of plant your flag early in the season, then you beat Baltimore, and then you run off 6 more wins, and you're 7-0.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people make that prediction. I don't know. I've seen people call it bold. I mean, I guess it is because the Ravens are there week 1.
It's tough
but-
in the NFL, though. Like, we see it. There's, like, the Chiefs last year lose to the Raiders, or, there's just, like, every game's tough. So it's a lot to ask. But, I mean, looking at the schedule, Kyle, like, there's on paper, they're going to be favorites in every single game, and they're favorites against Baltimore because they're at home.
Yeah, and how about this? They're 24-6 against the AFC East since 2020. That's pretty wild to think about, considering one of those games was that overtime game in the season opener in 23 when they played the Jets when Rodgers went down.
Yep.
So you take that away, it's 24-5.
Yep.
So only 5 losses. That's pretty wild.
I'll throw the schedule back up here for a second. You mentioned some of those tough games too, pretty much at home.
All of them.
Kansas City at home, Cincinnati at home, Philly at home. It's one of those things where
Tampa is a home game, which Tampa was.
Yeah.
You're just looking at playoff teams from
I would-
last year.
I would view the only potentially tough one, I guess it depends how you view it, would be maybe that Houston game Thursday night, week
Remember
12.
how bad they played there last year?
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah,
They were horrible.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's coming off a Thursday night. It's on a Thursday night coming off 4 days after they play Tampa Bay at home.
Yeah.
I do have another set, though. The Bills travel the second fewest miles of any team in the league.
Yeah, it's a lot of
wow.
Eastern games looking at that schedule. I think, let's see here.
They got Cleveland,
My geography is pretty good. I think the furthest west.
Cincinnati, Pittsburgh.
No, the furthest west they go is Houston this year. So, I mean, that's not bad. It's a pretty light travel. You only go back
They
one time
only
zone.
leave the time zone
once.
Once all season. Are Kansas City same time?
Oh, no, Kansas City is Central, but that's a home
their
game.
home game, yeah.
So,
wow, that's a quirk I hadn't noticed in the schedule.
yeah, Houston's the only Central time zone game. That's the only non-Eastern time zone game. So that's looking at that makes it a lot. You mentioned the travel and everything too. It's sheesh.
I think I saw that too. I didn't write it down, but I think they have the 5th easiest schedule in the NFL. I think based on strength of schedule, I think
Which is odd for a team that made it as far as they did last year.
Yeah.
Usually they wait it, but it's because I think they're playing that AFC South in the crossover or AFC North. Who's their crossover?
The North. It has to be the North. Just
so
because
that means you get Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, of course, but it's and then they're playing Atlanta, Carolina, New Orleans, so the 2 crossover divisions further out, are just not very strong.
Yeah. Historically,
Their own division isn't strong.
No. Yeah, it's one of those deals. I know we've talked about a little bit the past couple weeks collectively. It gives me the vibes kind of like last year, where we're talking week 14 and 15 already, where it's at what point do we expect guys to get breathers and stuff like that going into the postseason? Obviously, that might not be the case this year, but it's hard not to view it potentially from that lens, just given what we know about the AFC East this year.
Yeah, remember last year they clinched the division with 5 games left.
Yeah.
They were the first team to do that since the 2009 Colts. Yeah. I don't think it'll be maybe as early as that, but I agree. Still with a few weeks left, I think they'll have it wrapped up.
Yeah. Kind of hard not to imagine that. Let's take a look. I know there's no official depth charts yet, but let's take a look at some stuff here. I know, Jim, you mentioned health, obviously, for the defense. Let's start on that defensive depth chart first then for the Bills. Take a quick look here. And I know one of the things we talked a little bit off air, even Kyle, before we started, most notably, if you take a look at that, Dwayne Carter's still technically listed on the depth chart. He's listed as out. That transaction, quote unquote, of putting him on the IR probably not going to happen until tomorrow. So he's still listed as third, and as we know, this defense and the health of it is a pretty big factor for how far the Bills can potentially go.
Yeah, season-ending injury for Dwayne Carter. He's in his second year, or going to be his second year. I would say it's kind of a big loss because he was going to be in the rotation, and they have other guys that could probably fill that in, like Jordan Phillips was signed. They have a couple other guys in the practice squad. But I've seen a lot of people think maybe they could still make a move outside of the organization this week. And I think it is possible. There are a couple veterans still out there. But overall, I think the defense is in a good place. I don't really like the secondary right now. But I think that line, I think the Joey Bosa addition was huge. I just hope he can stay healthy.
Yeah, it seems unlikely that he will, but it would be great if he can be the type of player that he was before he started seemingly getting injured every year. But I'm most excited defensively about Matt Milano hopefully being 100% healthy. See if he can return to Pro Bowl caliber. And Tre'Davious White being back. I wasn't really thinking too much about him, and I was never a huge fan because he always got hurt, But I watched the Hard Knocks, and man, it's hard not to like this guy. And so and he was serving as the veteran to the younger guys in the secondary. I'll be interested to see how those guys do coming out of the gate on Sunday night, seeing them back on the field in Bills uniforms.
And I thought it was funny, too, because they brought Jordan Poyer back last week for the practice squad. So Tre'Davious White and Jordan Poyer both had their media availabilities. And it's funny that they basically erased last year. They said you can't go by how they played last year because their mind and their heart always kept thinking about being back in Buffalo. They never wanted to leave.
Really?
Remember, they had to be released to save money. So a lot of people are saying, like, Trey White looked really bad last year. And that is right.
In Baltimore.
Right. And he went to LA for a little bit.
Yep.
But I kind of agree with them. Like, it was just a different atmosphere, different vibe, different team. I think maybe returning to
more
Buffalo,
of a job for him,
That's
just
what he said too.
cashing the check.
He said he didn't have as fun as the Bills have. So I think being back in Buffalo might be a little different on the field in terms of how he plays. So I am excited for Trey White too, and I do think eventually we'll see Jordan Poyer. I just don't think right away because he needs to build up, but he said too, he thinks he has gas left in the tank, and I agree. I mean, can he be any worse than some of these guys right now? Like
Well,
DeMar Hamlin shouldn't see the field. Cole Bishop's a question mark.
yeah, that was something that we talked about a lot last year, let alone outside the health realm of things too, with especially the secondary. You get outside of, and even then, depends how you view guys. You know, Benford played really well and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
he's not safety. They use him at corner primarily, to go 1-on-1 with guys. So it's one of those deals where you hope that those guys you can plug in and at least give you a spark a little bit. You know, look, I'm not saying I don't want to make it sound like I'm not saying Taylor Rapp or Cole Bishop or any one of these guys doesn't understand like the culture of Buffalo. I think they do, but I think having a White, having a Poyer, some of these guys who were at the frankly probably the front end of how this team got going a little bit can maybe help spark the defense a little bit even more.
Yeah, I'm not concerned with Taylor Rapp. I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
I think
He had a good
Rapp's
year
been
last
very
year.
steady.
Yeah.
And Benford, you know, they locked him down. They gave him an extension. He's been very good. Taron Johnson's been very good.
Yeah.
It's really Cole Bishop, you know, being young and not really having much experience. And I would say DeMar Hamlin. I just don't think Hamlin's good. And,
Yeah,
you know,
the if you go by the depth chart, the free safety position is probably talent-wise the shallowest. You
that's why
know,
I think it needs to be a big year for the
Yeah.
defensive line. I think the line needs to have a big year, put a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
You know, not let those safeties and corners. Well, I shouldn't say corners because they have good corners, but let those guys get exposed. I mean, you can't give these quarterbacks a lot of time, or teams are going to put up a lot of points on the Bills based on that secondary.
What's the status of the injury of their first round pick here, their cornerback?
Maxwell Harrison.
Yeah,
IR.
for
I would say he's a big loss.
but for how long? I mean, I know that he's so at least 4 weeks.
At least 4. He can return in week 5.
But I haven't heard anything. I mean, they were talking maybe a season-ending injury.
I think he'll be back. I'm not sure it'll be after the 4 weeks.
Yeah. Part of it, I guess. Let's do the offensive depth chart here really quick as well. One of the things I know we talked about a lot was that wide receiver slots and how we would be taking a look at that. And at least at the moment, if they come out in the 3-1, which is how this is based off of, it'd be Shakir at your 1, Coleman at the 2, and Palmer as your slot guy at the moment. So
A lot of question marks for an offense that was like unstoppable last year. They probably will be unstoppable this year too, thanks to Josh Allen and James Cook. But I'm really interested to see. First of all, Shakir's injured. Like I thought he was. Whenever he's been healthy, he's been unbelievable. Whenever he's been injured, he's been like a shadow of his healthy self, like a lot of football players. But here we go entering the season, and he's got an injury designation already. And then you add Josh Palmer, to me, being the biggest, not question mark, but unknown. Could he emerge to be like what the Bills wanted Amari Cooper to be when they signed him last year? But didn't, and then can Keon Coleman now in his sophomore year finally pay off on the draft capital that the Bills spent on him? And then you can go one step further and say, what about Dalton Kincaid?
Yeah.
When they drafted him, we thought we were getting another Travis Kelce caliber, like he was going to be our Kelce. And, that had not that he's been a bust or anything, but he hasn't become a Pro Bowl caliber superstar. So the targets that Josh Allen has to pass to me, are all question marks right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. I thought even last year, I think we were having this discussion with Mac Hollins and who am I forgetting? Who was the other one? Amari Cooper came later in the year. Was there another receiver I'm forgetting?
were we doing the Curtis Samuel thing already? Or?
Yeah,
Maybe
we
it was
didn't
Coleman, Samuel. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I think the receiver room is a question mark. But I think when you have Josh Allen as your quarterback, and as we saw last year, he spreads it around. One guy's not going to have a big game, all the time. It's going to be different each week.
But honestly, last year, did any of the receivers ever have big games outside of Shakir?
I mean, Mac Hollins had a couple, but it wasn't like
Yeah,
You
he had a
know.
couple 2 touchdown
Yeah.
games, but did Keon Coleman ever have one big game?
I don't think he had one big game.
And neither did Cooper. But like you say, maybe that's just a product of the way the Bills' offense operates. But just imagine, if one of these guys could step up and be a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver and like a true number one. I mean, Stephon Diggs was for Josh Allen for a year or two, and then he, kind of went away. But I think it could be Josh Palmer. I hope it could be Keon Coleman. It's just last year was such a disappointment in my mind for Coleman. And so I guess since Josh Palmer's the new guy in town, that we're hoping it's going to be him maybe. And then Shakir, again, for me, Shakir is like Puka Nacua light, except he's injured. He's not the same when he's injured.
I'm going to make a prediction. I think Dalton Kincaid gets the second most targets this year.
Targets.
Yeah. I don't know about catches.
Behind who?
Targets. I think Shakir will be the number one. I think Kincaid will have the second most targets. And then I'm going to go with Josh Palmer. I do think Josh Palmer is going to be very involved. He's going to be on the field a ton. And I think Coleman, he's going to be on the field, but I think his best chances are going to come in the red zone because they think that, he can go up and grab a ball. But
How
he
many
didn't do it
touchdowns
last
did
year.
he have last year?
Exactly.
4?
He didn't do it last year.
Like I'm trying to remember.
I think 3 or 4.
Yeah, not very many for playing a whole season.
And Curtis Samuel, I mean, there's really no point of talking about him.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to ever mention him.
He'll be on the
again.
field once in a while, and he'll do nothing. And I think Tyrell Shavers, though, might be a little more involved than he will because he has the
I would
size.
like
He's a
to
big
see
body.
that. Yeah, I would like to see that. I mean, I don't know. Curtis Samuel is just kind of like a running joke on this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Pretty
Just
much.
stayed in Washington.
Hey.
Josh Palmer, I'm my prediction is that Josh Palmer is going to be that guy. The guy that's bringing in the big 3rd and 12 reception. The guy that's maybe breaking a playoff when and the guy that's going to ultimately be the Bills' leading receiver at the end of the year.
What do we think about the veteran Elijah Moore? Won't do much. Probably like Amari Cooper, just be out there.
Will
once
he
in a
even
while.
be out there once in a while? I mean, I don't know. It's so weird when he brought him in. We were like, oh, okay, this is cool, and then the news cycle's been like non-existent.
Well,
There's a
he'd
lot of
be
unknowns.
well if we look at the depth chart here again quick, I guess he'd be technically wide out 4.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's gonna probably get run, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends. I mean, mind you, the depth chart we're looking at, and it's primarily the offensive set that the Bills come out to, obviously going by the past few years, is the 3-1-1, which is a 3 wide out, 1 running back, 1 tight end set. But we do know the Bills enjoy coming out in 2-2-1s, 2-1-2s. I mean, take your pick. They're not afraid to really mix and match when they have to. So, I mean, who knows? I think, not to devil's advocate this here a little bit, I hope Keon Coleman has a big year. I just view it, though, if he's a red zone threat, then I don't know what the point of having Kincaid be a red zone threat would be.
Well,
I mean,
it's
they're
not bad having a couple of red zone
right, but
threats, right?
I'm viewing it though. They're for being a wide receiver and a tight end, they're built very similarly. So I don't know. We know that the Bills love using Dawson Knox in the red zone as well. I don't know. I don't know how to view Coleman at this point, if I'm being totally honest, from a unbiased perspective of sort.
Well, those Bills teams in the 90s that Kyle mentioned, they had Andre Reed, clear number 1 receiver, and this iteration of the Bills for the past, since Diggs left or since Diggs stopped being good with the Bills, they haven't had a number 1.
Yeah.
They just haven't had a number 1.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if somebody will emerge or if this is going to be more of the same. And look, if it's more of the same, whatever, that's fine. They're still the best offense in the league, right? Mm. So maybe they don't need a number 1, but I guess mentally you want you want this go-to guy, and maybe you need that type of number 1 guy to take that next step and get to the Super Bowl.
No, I view it the same way. I think you have to have that guy who is a designated, maybe not necessarily like ball hawk of a number 1, but it's the guy that you can go to reliably and not have a risk.
He's not a superstar, but I truly believe that's how they view Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
They think that anytime there's a big, third down, they can go to him, and he's like their savior. And
I felt that way about Shakir, and then he got hurt, and I just wasn't the same. I don't know much about this injury. We'll see when he plays Sunday how much
he
it
returned to
affects him.
practice last week. He'll be good to go. But it happened early in camp. He hasn't been on the field for weeks.
But he needs 100% Shakir is the number one guy in the same way. Like I keep bringing it back with Puka Nacua because they're very similar coming out of the slot and breaking tackles and getting yards after catch. If he's healthy, he's every bit as good as Nacua, I think.
Yeah, I believe he was in the top 3 for yards after catch. Shakir was.
Yeah, but nowhere near the respect that Puka Nacua gets for the Rams.
All right.
Yeah, and by the way, I think Shakir had another ankle injury, just like he did in that before that Baltimore series or game last year, week 4.
Yeah, he got hurt in the Baltimore game, right? Wasn't it like he got
hurt before and he tried to play with a bad ankle.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because I remember I had him in one of my fantasy teams last year, and there was a very clear line going into that. Yeah, so I will say before we move on quickly here, the one thing I actually really like, and this is coming from a former lineman, so maybe it's just one of those things I pay attention to more so than most, just the continuity again on the Bills' O-line. I'm with it.
Same again.
I'm with it.
To see it.
Those guys, it's weird, and look, maybe it is a little bit off base. I don't know. I guess I don't view any of them as maybe being one of those top guys in the league you consider, but the fact of the matter is I think O-line and D-line too, I don't want to get this crossed over, but the chemistry that you can build with your line mates and stuff like that, I think helps, and we've seen, to me, really over the course of the past few years, man, it appears as though everything really runs in sync between those front 5 guys and Josh and the guys behind them. So it's one of those things where it's like I give it a thumbs up.
You can just go look at Miami and see what happens there, and why Tua gets hurt a lot too, because the line is that bad.
Yeah.
But quickly too, I wanted to mention, what about the running backs? Do you think Cook reaches 1,000 yards for the 3rd straight year?
Yeah, no reason why not. I mean, they're going to be racking up yards, so there's going to be plenty of yards
remember,
to go around.
Ray Davis was their 2nd leading rusher last year with 777 yards.
Yeah.
So the other running backs play a lot. That's why I bring that question up. I mean, remember
Cook's time last year though. How many games did he miss last year?
Was that Cook?
Yeah, Cook.
I think
2 or 3 games maybe mid-season. Davis had a real big game, one of them. Anyways, they're set up running back Cook and Davis, and
Well, I have no internet.
I'm working fine still, at the very least, over here
for a few minutes.
The thing with Cook, and I'm high on him for fantasy purposes and stuff like that, even though this isn't quite it. No, last year
Cook
Cook
played the whole year,
Cook
right?
played the whole year. The only game
he didn't miss any games last year?
the only game he didn't play was the finale against New
game.
England. So
maybe was it 2 years ago?
no, 2 years. 2 years ago, every year he's played either 16 or 17.
Remember, even Ty Johnson, 626 yards last
Yeah,
year.
I was about to say Ty Johnson to me is really the one because they
love him.
They do love using him in the passing game as well, Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
So
That's why I brought that question up. I mean, I know James Cook is really good, but because they use those other running backs so much and they pass the ball, they're not just like Saquon, 25 carries.
Right.
So, I mean, I do think he'll get there, but I don't think he'll get 18 touchdowns again.
Yeah, I mean,
it's tough to replicate for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Cook last year, 207 carries, 1,009 yards, 16 touchdowns. So, I mean, I think if he has a similar year, I think I view him as having a similar year to last year. If he doesn't get to 1,000, I guarantee it's still like 900 something yards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, which is a really still great year probably for what that offense needs him to do.
For sure.
So, all right, quickly before we get out of here on the depth chart stuff, we would be remiss if we didn't mention our special teams.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Are
are
they
guys.
trying to bring someone in to replace Bass maybe?
Yeah, so they brought in
yeah.
3 kickers last week. We don't know. We don't have an update on Tyler Bass probably till later. But a lot of people are saying maybe apparently teams do this a lot in case of an injury throughout the year. They know who they would call.
Yeah.
So they work out guys before the season starts.
makes
They said it
sense.
could be that, or Tyler Bass is dealing with that injury again.
Yeah.
And I think it would be foolish to carry 2 kickers on the active roster in week 1. So you either just sign one to the practice squad and elevate him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that unless they thought his injury might, something would happen during the game that would make him. But then they got Ray Davis, the emergency kicker.
Yeah.
It's funny that they would hit, like, who knows if it came down to it, but that they'd bring in Ray Davis instead of the punter.
That's what I wondered too. I thought worst case scenario, the punter could at least attempt
You
it.
would think.
Who holds now in the event that the punter has to kick anyway? Do we revert back to the backup quarterback at that point?
Why is it punter hold for Bass?
Yeah. Well, he had normally in the past, I know, anyway.
So Trubisky would be holding maybe.
Yes, right? I don't know.
And then how about their new punter? Remember, they've had Sam Martin the last few
Yeah.
years. Now they have a new guy, Brad Robbins.
Yeah.
Don't really know much about him, but
Could he be the difference maker to bring the
Here we
Bills to the
go.
Super Bowl?
You never know. hey, everybody needs a good special teams unit.
Yeah, you don't got to tell me. I'm the big, my favorite player in the NFL is Riley Dixon.
and don't forget
Andre Schmidt's back,
With who?
Cleveland. He beat out Dustin Hopkins.
Oh, good.
so he can miss wide right and the 40-mile-per-hour winds in Cleveland.
Ton of Syracuse guys in the
Yes.
pros this year.
Yep.
Don't forget to shout out the long snapper on the special teams.
Fergie.
Yeah, it's been around forever.
I know. Mentioning linemen and continuity. Long snappers are technically linemen from the special teams, so hey, when you got them good, you got to keep them, especially in that position, because, it's tough enough to snap a ball, period, but doing it for that distance and keeping it damn
They got
damn
one
consistent,
job,
man.
right?
Well,
One
yeah,
job.
but it's a tough,
It ain't easy, but that's
Yeah.
why you have a specialist.
so.
It's going to be awesome, though. Football on Sunday. I'm going to play. There's a game Thursday. There's a game Friday in Brazil. And then, but Sunday, I'm going to play golf in the morning, come home, and watch NFL Red Zone all day long until, depending on how cool it is outside. If it's hot, I probably won't make sauce or anything, but, do something on the food side of things, and then get ready to eat right as the Bills kick off on Sunday night in what's going to be just a great scene at Highmark.
Yeah, it's definitely special around here right now. Just I know Syracuse got smoked by Tennessee, but
Yeah, they got off to a bad
There's-
start, and
but-
then they kind of hung around.
but there's a pretty good buzz collectively locally here that really hasn't been seen in 20 plus years, give or take. Probably way more than that, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Probably really pushing the 30 mark when you think about it, so it's pretty cool on that front.
Well, did you guys make predictions for?
No, I was
I
about
did
to
division predictions
to
and
that.
game predictions.
Yeah, I was about to jump over to that. So Kyle, I mean, you can have the floor then.
All right. Well, I think the Bills are going to go 13-4 again.
Okay.
I have the Patriots at 9-8, second. I have the Dolphins third at 7-10, and I have the Jets fourth at 6-11.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I don't have records necessarily for anything like that. I think Buffalo wins it pretty handily. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think the Jets are going to be, I think, a hair bit better than a lot of people give them credit for this year. I know, but I know I'm on.
Matter
I know I'm out alone on Aaron Glen Island apparently here. But
It's going to take them a year or two.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to jump just yet on like the New England train. I really don't want any part of Miami this year, if I'm being totally honest, in the sense of like having to pick them and trust them to win a game. And I think that's a little bit of it. I think for the Bills, I mean, the winning element's more so for obviously the seeding in the playoffs, not even really in my mind for division purposes. It's one of those things where it's the Bills and kind of everybody else in the AFC East. In
I
that
got the
sense.
Bills winning 15 games.
Ooh,
Yeah.
who's the only loss then?
2 losses,
Dude,
right?
remember, it's
Oh, my bad. Yeah. That's on me.
Week 2 down in New York. We're going to lose that one.
and the Eagles.
And nope, we're going to beat the Eagles. But this is pending, that if that's a game that they need. No, they're going to lose at Houston.
Just like last year. That was such a weird game. I don't know what was wrong with them last year.
Was that also a Thursday night game too last year?
No, it was
or
a
was that-
Sunday 1 o'clock.
Oh, at
game.
that point, after that week, we were like, the Bills aren't even going to make the playoffs.
Well, that was just because of literally how bad they looked.
couldn't even move
It was
the
on.
ball.
Right.
It wasn't also. I don't think it was necessarily back to back with Baltimore. Wasn't that within like the same 3-week stretch?
Yeah.
Like it was just like, yeah, it was just not a good Good, whatever.
I think New England's going to win 8 games, and I think Miami's going to win 7 games, and I think the Jets are going to win 3 games, and one of them will be against the Bills in week 2.
Okay.
Because it's always like that in an NFL season.
Yeah.
One game where it doesn't make sense.
There's always just football period. There's always just something dumb where it's like what the hell are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like there's always one game for every team.
Well, these are all professionals. They all spend all week game planning each other, and every now and then something clicks. And it's a grind too. So, the reason I think they'll lose at Houston is they got to play Tampa Bay at home on Sunday and then go to play at Houston Thursday.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
But also and we talked about it a little bit. If that's the furthest they have to go on a tight turnaround like that, I think we're looking at some.
Still,
pretty
it's not
good
even
stuff.
travel time.
No.
It's just like you play an NFL game on
I know.
Sunday, and then 4 days later you're in another city playing another one.
Yeah, and they're doing that. I know it's not as far, but weeks 2 and 3 too. Remember, they're at the Jets, and then 4 days later they're home against the Dolphins on Thursday night. I get it; it's not as far travel, but it's 2 games again. And
Yeah, it's
4
not
days.
really even the travel because these guys travel I don't know how luxurious it is, but it's all taken care of. It's not like they go to the
It's
airport.
still charter flights.
Yeah, they don't go to the airport and check their bags, and it's all taken care of. They just get there, and then.
Yeah.
But Kyle said, I'm saying it's you're playing NFL game. It would be like we played an NFL game today, and usually you have a day of just recovery, and then you ease back into it. But in this scenario, you're playing a game today, and then which is today's Tuesday, you're playing another game on Friday.
Yeah.
That's not the way football is meant to be scheduled.
Nope. But
And that opens the door for injuries.
no, for
more
sure.
injuries.
Yeah, we've talked about it on
I think it's too.
pretty much any podcast where we talk about football.
We all like watching Thursday night football, but in my mind,
Yeah.
it's stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah. I don't know about enjoying watching Thursday night football, but
It's true. There's a game on NFL
Yeah.
game on Thursday.
yeah.
That you can bet, or your fantasy guys are going, or you can maybe it's your team. But it's disappointing to me when a team like the Bills is on Thursday night because then Sunday rolls around and you're like, oh, what they're not even playing.
That's why I always enjoy Jacksonville, Tennessee on Thursday night. Quickly here before we really get out of here and everything like that. Obviously, week 1 against Baltimore. We've talked a little bit about it anyway as is, but Sunday night, obviously 8:20, Orchard Park.
Final
Bills
home
Mafia,
game.
you guys are going to be freaking rocking all day Saturday, I bet.
Don't forget, final home game.
My lord,
for the new
final
stadium.
Well, it's not the final home game.
Final.
It's the
season
final
opener.
season
Sorry,
at Highmark
guys, I only
Stadium.
got 5 hours of sleep. Literally, I went to bed at 3.
But I don't know if they're doing anything. I know a lot of the stuff is for that final home game, week 18 against the Jets that they have planned and stuff like that. I haven't seen anything for week 1. I'm sure there's probably going to be stuff the whole year, I would assume to some degree. Yeah. I could be wrong, but
Who cares about it? It's not like it's baseball. Football stadiums are dumb. Like they're compared to football stadiums, they're less personal or
I guess. But
cozy confines than like a baseball park.
I guess, but yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, but I think like I mentioned at the top, I think it's more for the fans than like the players that
Yeah, but all the fans are gonna like the new stadium better.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I say this as a Yankee fan. I'm not a fan of, and it's not the new stadium anymore. I'm just not a fan of the Yankee Stadium 2.0.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. In baseball, you can make those arguments for a lot of reasons. In football, it's just like whatever. This stadium fits 80,000. This stadium fits 82,000. There's this many luxury boxes, but in the middle of the field, it's 100 yards. And the one thing they say about the new stadium is there's not going to be any wind.
Yeah, I don't.
Because of the way it's built.
I don't.
So
I don't
whatever.
fully buy that. But we talked about that anyway. For the Ravens, the key guys on their injury list are all projected to be fine anyway for the
I
game.
don't know.
Well, I was going to say that the one.
Yeah, likely.
Well, that was the one to me that they have this estimated return as game day, and it's whatever. I get it. I guess we have to take it at face value at the moment. But like, he was the one to me that was like, I thought we weren't going to see him for a few weeks.
He broke his foot.
I mean, obviously, things can change. But like, yeah, I unless they're doing like a decoy thing right now, I don't know. But other than that, like Jair Alexander should be back. Patrick Ricard, who they kind of use in an interesting way, should be back. It's one of those things where we're probably looking at a pretty much full deck Ravens team against a pretty much full deck Bills team on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Good test for the Bills defense.
Yeah.
Really good test for the Bills defense to see, where all these questions we talked about at the top of the podcast here, we're going to see play out on Sunday night.
Yeah.
You got to count for Lamar Jackson. You got Derrick Henry running at you. You got Rashad Bateman running deep routes and DeAndre Hopkins in the red zone. I mean, Mark Andrews, who, remember, the Bills lost to the Ravens last year. They really did. Mark Andrews just dropped the ball. If he catches the ball, the Bills lost. By all the stats and scores, the Bills lost.
I'll say wasn't the play I forgot to mention earlier, but that was the not snow game, but ice game. It ended up being to a degree there, the way it played out. So I'm sure, like you mentioned earlier, Jim, probably a bit more than circled for some of those guys on the Ravens.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be a great way to kick off the season. And but what do you think? Do you think the Bills are gonna win?
I'd like to imagine so. We got the Bills as a 1.5 favorite right now, looking at it,
which is less than a favorite.
It's
on
in
a neutral field.
Well, and that's the interesting part, right? The Bills are spread favorites, but they're underdogs on the money line technically.
And home field advantage is 2 points on the spread, right?
Yeah, that's kind of
usually what Vegas does. So this is saying if it was a neutral field, the Ravens would be half-point favorites.
Probably, yeah. Over under for those who care, 50.5. So
a lot of points.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. I think because of home field, I gotta go Buffalo here. I think they get regular season revenge from Baltimore last year. I think a little bit of it too, at least for me personally speaking. I think I just view it as like I'm just kind of over this whole entire Baltimore deal. If I'm being totally honest, they're a great regular season team. They get to the playoffs.
This is a regular season game,
right? No, but I think there's just like an element of fatigue for me with them at this point, where it's just like,
yeah, nobody likes Baltimore except for Baltimore fans,
right? I just think it's one of those things where it's like probably against my own
people who drafted Lamar Jackson,
right?
Baltimore,
probably against my own clouded judgment here, where maybe I should be taking Baltimore. I'm not. I'm going to take Buffalo. I think it's going to be tight though. I'm going to go 24-21. Bills win. Sunday night
Mark
football.
Andrews drops a touchdown.
Another one. Yes. Another drop pass by Mark Andrews in the end zone. So that's why I'm going Buffalo 24, Baltimore 21. I don't know. Which one of you guys wants next?
I'll go.
All right.
I wrote this down yesterday. Bills 27, Ravens 23. And I even made a prediction. I wrote Buffalo trails in the final few minutes. Josh Allen leads them down the field for a go-ahead James Cook touchdown.
There you go.
Wow.
Punch it in.
So, Kyle, we're both technically on the under there. All right.
I think the final score is going to be Bills 42.
Wow.
Ravens 40.
Oh, my good God.
82.
Yep.
You are...
Is this game going to end at midnight?
These teams are coming out slinging and running and gunning and
hammer the over.
Tyler Bass is going to knock down a 61-yard field goal as the time expires to give the Bills a 3-point win.
And he's done that before. I think his career long is 61.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
Yep. So this one is going to be 61.5.
Wow. All right. Before we get out of here, one final thing. Doesn't have to be season end related, anything like that. Any hot take Bill surprise you think will happen this year? Because I got one, although I don't know if it's going to be actually fruitful in nature.
My big thing is I think Josh Palmer is the leading receiver on the team.
Okay. You want me to go, Kyle, or do you?
Yeah, you go.
All right. I think the Bills do something similar to last year, how they traded for Amari Cooper. I think they go out, get another wide receiver, and shore up at some point here Who that is, I don't know. We usually see it kind of play out the first couple weeks, but
Whoever it is, it'll be underwhelming, I'm sure. We'll be
well,
all excited, and he'll come out
maybe.
and he'll catch like one ball the first
Maybe.
week and then fade into obscurity.
yeah. But I think
Josh Palmer, going to be
yeah.
next year in your fantasy draft, Josh Palmer will be a third-round pick.
Okay. I like that. Kyle?
I'm going to change it totally then from what you guys said. I'm going to say the Bills do get the number 1 seed. And not only that, they're going to knock the Chiefs out in their final home game to go to the Super Bowl.
Love that.
Basically like last year, right? Was it last year when they lost to KC at home? Yeah. Yeah, basically like last year, but this year it's going to be different, and that's going to be the storyline. Bills win final home game at Highmark Stadium to go to the Super Bowl.
And lose
First time
to
since
the,
'94. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
well,
Packers and lose to the Packers.
yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
Wait, the Packers?
I know this isn't.
Yeah, they made that big trade. Now they're
means
going
in
to the Super Bowl.
like to lose to the Packers.
Oh, I thought you were. Oh, never mind. Okay, I
They
thought.
got to play a team from the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Well, my brain was just like they didn't play the Packers that year in the Super Bowl.
No, he's thinking he's upset because they didn't say Commanders.
No, wasn't that final year for the Bills, the Cowboys? I think.
Giants was 1991.
I thought when Giants, Commanders, Cowboys.
Yeah, no, it was the Cowboys destroyed them. They beat them by like a million.
Yeah.
Emmitt Smith ran up and down the field. And it was really an embarrassment.
We can talk more about it Thursday, of course, on the betting pod. But
That's
what do
right.
you think about the Packers? Do you think they're Super Bowl contenders all of a sudden just by
No,
Parsons?
I don't understand why everybody likes Micah Parsons so much. Whatever, to be the highest paid football player ever, the non-quarterback, is ridiculous. I don't think Jerry Jones makes a lot of great moves, but I think letting him go to the Packers for $100 million or whatever it was just fine.
I think this might be a semi-hot take-ish type thing. I don't view the NFC North as being all that great this year as people may think. So I do view the Packers at least as a true playoff contender. I don't know about Super Bowl contender, but I guess it's more by the surroundings than anything else.
I just don't think anyone's getting past Philly in the NFC and maybe the Super Bowl again. Because
It depends. Imagine if Saquon Barkley got hurt last year like he does almost every year except last year.
Yeah.
The Eagles don't go to the Super Bowl, right?
And even then, Barkley did have a couple scares last year. Let's not act as if it was a
But
clean
every
whatever.
single year until last year, he missed significant time. So it would, by law of averages and the workload he had last year, you would assume that maybe this year he would get hurt. But, and then, a sleeper team, might be somebody like San Francisco.
Oh, you didn't take my sleeper team in the NFC.
Who's that?
I think Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tampa.
I really like Tampa Bay's defense. I think that offense we know it's good. So I just, stuff like that. And plus, we have that Tampa Bay game highlighted as a little bit of a potential roadblocky type game for Buffalo as is anyway. So
Yeah, they got a good running game. They got good defense. They got good receivers. They got Baker Mayfield.
yeah.
just gonna have to stop my brothers somehow.
Lee,
Oh wow, that took me way too long.
Lee Evans, yeah.
Mike Evans.
Does he ever send you money?
I wish.
The check's in the mail, eh? Hey, let's get here on that note then, guys.
Yeah.
So really
So
appreciate.
next time we're going to talk about an actual game that was played.
Yeah. But Kyle, you mentioned before that if you are into the betting scene, we'll be back at it again Thursday at 2. I think we're keeping the normal time, right? Thursday at 2 for that.
See if Kyle can replicate his incredible 2025 betting or
Jesus
24 betting
Christ.
season.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
That was crazy.
Though this is what we call a teaser. We are retooling it a little bit this year, so
Wait,
make sure
quickly, I still have my record.
go ahead.
36, 25, and 2 if you include the postseason.
Up 12 units on the year.
If you don't include the postseason, it was 32 and 20 and 2.
Yeah, you kind of tailed off at the end there.
Yeah, the postseason killed me.
Too bad you were in the green all year, Kyle. So good for you. Not all of us can be so lucky.
No, we start from scratch Thursday.
Yeah, so looking forward to it. Thursday at 2 for that. Next week, we are back to our normal-ish time, we'll call it, for Bills Weekly, because if they play their lone Monday night game, it won't be. But Monday at 10 o'clock, our normal time when you can find us, and we'll be back to recap the game against Baltimore. Look ahead to week 2 against the Jets. Boys, we're back in it. Can't beat it.
Good luck, Bills fans.
Yeah. So, Bills Weekly. You can find us here on FingerLakes1.com, the FingerLakes1.com YouTube channel, and all major podcasting platforms. Back at it again next Monday, 10 a.m. Until then, let's go Buffalo.